It's a typical day in the hills of Southern California. A hawk has just won in the competition for food, snatching a snake out of the sagebrush. The competition below is still undecided. This is the West Coast Cup Challenge, and this sport is officially known as NRA Action Pistol Competition. But it is perhaps better known by the name of the national event, the Bianchi Cup. But by whatever name, the stages define this unique competition. Falling plates, the mover, the barricades, and the practical that has handgunners shooting at a 4-inch X-ring from as far as 50 yards.
This sport forces you to shoot fast, but it also forces you to shoot accurately. If you look at this target up close, you might say, well, that's a big X-ring, that's a big 10 ring. But when you're looking at it from 50 yards away, it suddenly becomes very small.
And very challenging under the time limits for each string of fire, ranging from as little as 3 seconds for 2 rounds at close distances to a maximum of 15 seconds to fire 6 shots at 50 yards. Unlike IPSC, there is no score for speed, just a penalty for taking too long to punch holes in the tombstone targets with the 8-inch 10 ring and that 4-inch X-ring.
The X-ring is used as a tiebreaker on the events where 2 shooters have the same number of hits in the 10 ring, for instance, 48 hits in the 10 ring, 480 points. The tie would be broken by the shooter that had the most hits in the X-ring.
Weekdays, Tom Watson is an engineer, but since 1986 on weekends, he's an action shooter.
I stumbled upon this sport by accident. I went to a local public range to plinkett some paper and saw a notice about a match. And it started out as a weekend hobby, and it's grown over the last several years into, I guess you could call it an obsession. Going to the Missouri every year and competing in the Nationals. Obviously, the idea is to become number 1.
So far, he hasn't managed that, but he is ranked as a high master, consistently shooting within 1% of a perfect score.
This is a perfect target, all X's, 24X.
But Tom's opponent in this stage is not so pleased. Famous gun designer and photographer Ichiro Nagata is not shooting up to par, and as a result is a little camera shy.
No camera on this time.
Ichiro Nagata.
Not bad, huh?
Ichiro has developed his own passion for this sport and promoted it in Japan, where gun ownership is prohibited. But each year he is joined by several Japanese competitors who come over to shoot the national. Invariably, they use the latest exotic revolvers designed by Ichiro. And C.H. Ho is here. He is a fast food owner from Holland. This is an international sport and a revolver-dominated sport, which comes from the origin of this competition. It began as a police training exercise until the NRA opened the door to civilians in 1982. Cops carried revolvers back then, so no string of fire is more than 6 rounds, and a jammed auto allows no second chance.
If your gun malfunctions, there's no excuses. You don't get a score for any of the shots you haven't taken.
And Ronnie Lopez shows why revolvers still dominate, withdrawing with his jammed race gun. At the mover stage, Los Angeles mechanic Juan Hernandez is tracking the X-ring, running at 10 feet per second, visible for 6 seconds between the hard cover. Unlike the other stages, where additional seconds are added with each move back from the target, here the strings of fire are reduced from 6 shots at 10 and 15 yards to 3 shots at 20 and 25 yards. But even then, punching the X-ring is no easy task. For the falling plates, every hit is counted as a 10 and an X. The tiebreaker here will be shooting more plates at shorter times till someone misses, a procedure that won't be necessary for Randy Okada shooting against C.H. Ho. The shooters have the option of going prone if time allows in a string of fire. Frank Glenn on the right shot a perfect score in last year's National, and he's in the process of shooting the plates clean in this event. This can be an intimidating environment for new shooters, but L.A. dentist Mel Cohen says this club of world-class competitors always has the welcome mat out for beginners.
When you show up at this match, there might be 5, 8 of the top shooters in the world here on that day, and it can be intimidating. And we don't want that. We want the beginners to feel equally comfortable as the as the high masters and enjoy it. We want people to have fun. This is why I do it. For me, it's stress reduction.
Don Schenk could use some stress reduction at the moment. He knows he can win this match if he shoots the mover decently. He holds the world record in the plates, and this should be easy for him. But it becomes apparent this is not his day, and he will not take the money for the West Coast Cup Challenge match.
It's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
The thrill this time is for master gunsmith Frank Glenn, getting the cash and the plaque by shooting 1,916 points out of a possible 1,920 and 163 X's out of a possible 192.
Great, thanks. It was a good match and appreciate it.
The rules allow shooting NRA action pistol with any center-fire handgun, but with the competition decided by X-ring accuracy, this sport too has become the world of the custom scope race gun. Tom Watson started out as a Smith & Wesson 357 mag before the improvements.
It's been modified by putting a 1 1/4 inch diameter match barrel on it, and the action has been modified to make it very smooth and quite a bit lighter than the original factory spec, so you can shoot fast and accurately from long distances.
The Smith is now double action only with a bobbed hammer. The grips are extended at the base with a support block useful in shooting prone in the practical and falling plate stages. And that bump near the muzzle is not an overgrown sight, but a safety feature.
The protrusion here on the end of the barrel is a finger stop for the barricade hold.
Tom shoots double plus P, hot-loaded .38 special rounds, and does not need a compensator to keep the muzzle down, since his pistol now weighs 4.5 pounds, half the weight of an M1 Garand. But Juan Hernandez modified Smith Model 10 is a .38 special frame and somewhat lighter, so his custom barrel has been ported to suppress muzzle flip. He also has some additional help for the barricade stage. They're called wings.
I've also added some barricade wings to it. That's when you hold the gun against the barricade, you can put your hand like so on there and hold it tight so you can get a better group.
But far and away, the wildest action pistol guns are those designed by Ichiro Nagata. They are still Smith-based revolvers, but they are hard to recognize behind custom-tooled barrels, hybrid compensators, and barricade wings. There's little question Ichiro's designs represent the outer limit of the custom guns for this sport. However, one of his inventions has been widely adopted. It's the switchable scope mount that dials up the proper lead for shooting the mover.
What this device does is it allows you to put that lead into your sight adjustment automatically so that you can aim in the center of the target.
And the price range? Well, less than you might expect. Tom has about $1,200 in his gun, including the custom Smith work, and $300 for the switchable scope mount. And for one of Ichiro's? Well, you know the line. If you have to ask, it's probably not for you.